First things first, Happy New Year's to all of you out there. This is life giving me a yearly reminder of how friggin' old I'm getting. There were a lot of mixed feelings about gaming in 2022. Some didn't think it was a very good year. Me personally though, I played a lot of good games. Enough to where I felt comfortable in making a top 10 list of the best games that came out on the Switch in 2022. So without any further ado, let's get into some Switch games. We start off with a list with a banger, obviously. This lovely game is Blossom Tales 2: The Minotaur Prince, made by Playtonic Friends. It's an action-adventure kind of game, and the best way to describe this is it's old school Zelda with new school elements. The game is not as long as Zelda, and it's always hard for me to give out hours of gameplay it takes to complete a game. One, because everyone plays so much differently than the next person, but also does that mean fully complete everything in the game or just get to the end as quick as possible? So you'll hear a wide range, is what I'm saying. I'd say to complete it all is about 20 hours. The games that you can get on the Switch right now that are comparable to it, I would say are the Swords of Ditto, Mormos Curse, Oceanhorn, or Evoland, the Legendary Edition. $14.99 price tag, which is totally worth it, and only a little over 300 megabytes, so it's great on the old SD card too. It's one of those retro 2D games that you're gonna fall in love with if you like that kind. I know I did. The first one is also really good, but this one is better than the first Blossom Tales in pretty much every way. But it's a good starting point too, so if you want to start with the first one, although you don't have to, I don't blame you. Good luck on your quest to defeat the Minotaur King and to save your brother. In the blue corner, standing in at $19.99, Bear and Breakfast by Armor Game Studios. It's an adventure and a simulation game. You run a bed and breakfast in the woods, essentially, but in different parts of the map. And as you grow as a bear and as a business, you meet more characters, you get more things to do, you unlock certain areas and items and furniture, equipment, to where you start running more than just the bed and breakfast. And just like in any business, keep the customers happy, you'll be happy along the way. This is a cute and a funny game. It has a lot of nature ambience in it, which fooled my cat more than a couple of times, so kudos to you for that. And it's a game that you'll probably want to come back to later after you complete it. So I'd give it a pretty good rating for replayability. This came out on September 15th, and at the beginning it was a little bit buggy, but it's been patched up, so I haven't noticed any bugs since the patch. And it wasn't horrible before that, but I thought I should let you know. About 1.5 gigabytes, which is fine on the old SD card, and it was good enough to be number 9 on my Number 8. Coromon by Freedom Games, and this is the first game that I've ever played by them, and it's one hell of a way to give me some first impressions. And just like Blossom Tales being old school Zelda, this is old school Pokemon with new school elements. In fact, there's a couple of things that Pokemon could learn from Coromon. First and foremost, the game can be edited in terms of difficulty. You set how hard you want to make this game, which I've said for years this is something that Pokemon has needed. Or at the very least, a kids and an adult mode. Since a lot of people who play these kinds of games are adults, or they've been playing Pokemon for a long time. But anyways, this is about Coromon. The music is epic, the Coromon are epic. I love pretty much every design that they have. And there's also online, so you can battle people with their Coromon online. It is harder to train, but you don't have to be training for hours at the same time. And you as a character level up as well, which I've always given brownie points for. It has replayability, like I said, with the difficulty and other settings. You're getting a different experience every time. This came out on July 21st, and it's on sale pretty frequently, probably every other month. You can get it for $19.99, and it's not even a gigabyte, probably about half the size of 1 gigabyte. Number 7. Hunter X. This is by Orange Popcorn, and I'm pretty sure they were Neo Popcorn beforehand. Anyways, this came out a week before Coromon, so as you can imagine, I had myself one hell of a July. You're looking at an action-adventure platformer, and if you've ever played 3000 Duel, this is pretty much just like it, but the better, newer version. If you haven't, then let me break it down a little bit. By the way, real quick, this game is on sale, and it's $10.49 until January 10th, and it's less than 2 gigabytes in the old SD card. You play as a girl who is a demon hunter, where you very quickly find yourself opening a portal to other worlds. You will fight a ton of baddies, a ton of bosses. You will upgrade your weaponry a lot of times. You will get to use magic, or in this game it's called occult, and you will unlock new moves. This game, totally worth every penny. This is one of my favorite action-adventure platformer games on the Switch to date. I also appreciate the little bit of puzzles you got going on in this game too. And I know there's going to be some of you out there who are like, why isn't insert name on this list? Or how can you not put insert name in the top 10? And it could very well be because I have not played that game. So here very quickly, I'm going to give you my 2022 wish list. Games I still need to get to. Alright, now back to the list. All the way down to number 6, we have here The Outbound Ghost, which I just recently started playing, by Digerati. Now this does have a lot of the Paper Mario type of elements, as it is a tactical, turn-based RPG, and they are very much paper-like made characters. The makers described this as a 2.5D looking game, which I appreciate. But that's about it. Other than that, this game is pretty much its own thing, and that's what I really appreciate about it. Good music, good humor, and just good fun. Now it's very obvious that I love these kind of RPG games, but I think if you like the old school Paper Mario games, you're gonna really like this one too. The file size is a little bit more than you might expect at a little over 3.5 gigabytes, but totally worth it. And you can set up your own difficulty and a lot of different settings in this game as well, which gives it a ton of replayability. You'll also be able to set up your own fighting style to your liking. Digerati also made the game Underhero. If you played Underhero, that is also a really good game. This game is $24.99, which is pretty much the same as Bug Fables, but both are excellent games. And this game came out on December 1st, so it's still pretty fresh. Number 5, Pokemon Legends Arceus by Nintendo, Game Freak, the Pokemon Company, yeah, all of them. And with this being Pokemon, this is a full $60 priced game. You still have your RPG from Pokemon, you still have your turn-based fighting battles, but it also adds some action and adventure to the series for the first time in a mainline game. It is a little over 6 gigabytes. We will let it slide because it's Pokemon. This released on January 28th, so it's been almost a year now. And honestly, when it came out and I started playing it, quickly realized, or thought at the time, that this was going to be my game of the year. I absolutely love the storyline. I love the idea of going back in the past. You are in the Hisui region. It's technically 2 players if you want to, but you can really only trade, which really does kind of stink. But you get to see Hisuian forms of Pokemon that we've known from the past, like Growlithe, for example. You learn a lot of the origins of some of these Pokemon and the region itself, which eventually gets named Sinnoh. And you'll also build the region's first Pokédex ever. Basically doing all of this because Arceus wanted you to. You're a great person. They changed the battle mechanics a bit, and they completely changed the way you catch Pokemon in this one. I, for one, do love that I can just craft Pokeballs instead of having to buy a bunch. And it's one of my favorite Pokemon games that I've ever played. Number 4. And if you're someone who's been watching me a little bit, this will come as no surprise to you. This is Dreamlight Valley by Gameloft, and my hat's off to them. The moment I saw the game being shown to my eyes for the first time, I knew I was going to love this game. I love games like this, so let me tell you about games like this. It's what I call a life game, otherwise known as a simulation game. But it also mixes a little bit of adventure into this as well. The story is very good, even if it starts off slow for you and you have a lot of thorns to disappear with your magic. A lot of them. Reminds me a lot of picking weeds on Animal Crossing. And this game is only one player, but it is half the price of Animal Crossing. When the game first released, it was very buggy, and it also had 3 different editions. The Standard, the Deluxe, and the Ultimate Edition. I think they did away with the Deluxe and the Ultimate Edition though, because when I look on my eShop, it says I've got it purchased, and I definitely only bought the Standard version, so I think they got rid of them. If anyone knows for sure, please let me know. They've added some characters, and I think they'll keep adding characters as time goes on. Characters like Scar, who I was pumped for. And Cozy Grove fans, you might hate this or you might agree with this, but Cozy Grove was the game where I came and played 30 minutes to an hour on, daily or once a week, something like that. It is now Dreamlight Valley. Very much in the same categories as those games, Cozy Grove, Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley. But if you've played to your heart's content on those games, highly recommend this one. You will like it. It is very, very good. For saying, but I can't lie. This is none other than Pokemon Scarlet or Violet. I personally have the Scarlet version, made by Nintendo, Game Freak, Pokemon Company. Yeah, we were over this already. And it's also a full price game. Yeah, it's Pokemon. Sold over 10 million in the first weekend, but a lot of it got taken back as a lot of people asked for refunds. I suppose I just got lucky then. Yes, I had a little bit of performance issues, and yes, the frame rate drops considerably. And yes, people have a right to be mad about that. Or whatever other situation you occurred, when playing. But for me, personally, my experience was awesome. This is what Pokemon fans have always wanted. Open world Pokemon. A few years ago, we even said we would take some performance issues if it meant we got open world Pokemon that turned into an action-adventure game along with the role-playing game. And while it may not be what some people have expected, that's what they gave us. I only pray that the backlash wasn't so strong that they will move away from the open world. I feel like it's here to stay, I hope it's here to stay, but the backlash was real. And honestly, if it takes more time for them to come out with the game to make it perfectly in their eyes, then let's do it. I don't think they'll do that, as they usually come out with a game a month before Christmas. But anyways, flying around on my legendary Pokemon in a vast world, it was bigger than I thought it was going to be. Setting my own limitations, getting to go where I want, when I want to do it, complete the gyms whenever I want to. Now they do have to fix some things when it comes to that too. I just want the gym leaders to be at the same level that you're at with the same number of Pokemon you have in your party at the same time. Make it a fair battle when you go to these gym leaders. The number 2 game of 2022 in my view is Live Alive. And yes, I'm quite certain it is said Live Alive. One of Nintendo's own. This is where I'll start, okay? This is an RPG game with the best 2D graphics that you're going to find on the Switch. This is number 1. And you will get to play as 8 individual characters, all from the past, the future, and the present. The music, the voice acting, all of this is top notch. And it's tactical turn-based fighting at its finest as well. It may take you a second to get used to it, but once you do, you'll get it down. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can always look this up too, as the game explains everyone's abilities and moves pretty well. And it obviously, it gets me excited just talking about this game again. I want to play this again. And a fun fact here, this also came out in July 22nd to be exact. It's not exactly the price of a full game, it is $50, but I think it would be worth it. Glad that it's not $60 though. There is a demo for this, and if you're not sure about the tactical type of combat, get the demo. You get to play as 3 different characters, and I hope that you will love and appreciate this game as much as I do, because if you do, That's a lot of happiness coming your way, and I wish for it. And so, Ty, what is the #1 game? Well, the #1 game you're going to have to wait for in another video, so check that one out. Psych, no, I'm just kidding. Here we go. #1 is Bayonetta 3. This released in October. It's Nintendo's own, and it's a full game price. Totally worth it, though. You're going to absolutely love this game. You can get the Trinity Masquerade Edition for $89.99, but I don't have it, and I'm perfectly fine with not having that. It is big on the old SD card, right around 16 gigabytes or more. But the weapons you unleash, the combos you can hit, and also Cheshire. Cheshire is one of my favorite characters ever. You are set up to take on the homunculi, and this is the only mature game on the list. It's probably all the blood and the gore and the language used. Probably though. I like to play as Luca. Besides Bayonetta, of course, I think Luca is my favorite character. This honestly is one of the best action games I've ever played. If not, it is the best one. Definitely is on the Switch, unless you count Zelda, but for me, anyways, this gives Zelda a run for its money. And I don't want to say too much else about it because I want you to experience this if you haven't played it as well. I know there were some people on the internet that talked about performance issues or whatever, but that's kind of the ways of the internet. There's going to be some people who love the game and some people who don't. All I know is Bayonetta 3 won the best action game of 2022. And it came out in October, so it's still relatively new. And it deserves everything it gets.